who's my deputy head teacher. You'll probably see her in and around school at some point, as you will do my assistant head, who is Miss Hughes. She's also our inclusion manager and leads on all things SEND and safeguarding. Obviously, you've just met Mr. Denham. He's our early years lead. He tends to be based in the reception class, but has oversight over the whole of our early years area. And also you've got Miss Woods in the background there, I think. Is she going to give us a wave? Good, good. And Mr. Davis as well. I think he's online as well. I'm hoping so. No?
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Hiya.
Very smart shirt today, Missy, as I noticed. Well done, Mr. Davis.
Of course, of course.
So there are teachers for in our nursery provision, and we've also got some teaching assistants which go across the early years department. That's Mrs. Gannon, Mrs. Dash and Miss Davis. There are a couple of other people who you will probably want to have know the name of, and that's our admin team, and that's Mrs. Cole. I think she's online, so she'd give us a wave. Mrs. Cole there.
Well, if you say hello as well, Mrs. Cole, you should pop up if you're unmuted. Hang on, let me just unmute you, Mrs. Cole. You're talking to yourself at this minute. No. So, there you go. Say hello, Mrs. Cole. Oh, she hasn't got a microphone on, I don't believe, at the moment. No, we can't hear you, Mrs. Cole.
And also there's Mrs. Russell. She's our front office member of staff. So is Mrs. Russell online, ready to say hello to?
I think she's with Mrs. Cole. So if you look through the pictures, you can see Mrs. Cole and Mrs. Russell, both waving, both doing that mime type thing. Just there. We can't hear a word they're saying.
Oh gosh, yes. Maintaining their social distance, that's what I like to see. Okay, right. Obviously at the moment, life at Rivacre Valley is just a little bit different to what it would normally be. That's all down to the pandemic, which you'll be fully aware of. But we are planning to be open fully in September, and we are really looking forward to welcoming your child into our nursery class. We are planning for all children to return, but we're not quite sure on exactly what the social distancing requirements will look like. And as soon as we get that information a little bit more firm, we'll start sharing our plans with you. But just keep looking at the website, keep looking at all of our forms of communicating with you, because we display everything on the website. If there's something that relates directly to you or to your child, we will contact you directly. So if you make sure all of your forms for your admission process have been completed and have handed back to the office, that then means that we can contact you really efficiently. We have begun our annual transition work now already for your child for September. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, you have received a weekly parcel from school with some activities for you to have a little start with. And we'll continue to do that on a weekly basis now until we break up for the summer holidays. And the aim of that and the idea behind that is just to try and get you involved in some activities and starting to think about September and what school will be like. We are also hoping, you know, with hopefully a fair wind, that we'll be able to introduce you to the exact teacher for week beginning the 6th of July. And then that means that we'll have some little web chats and some little groups where your child will be invited on, obviously with yourself there, to meet their class teacher and also see the face of all the children that's going to be within their class setting in nursery as well. So I think that's important that they know what to expect and what the room will look like and things like that. Mr. Denham's now going to talk you through the early years offer in a lot more detail, because obviously he's more familiar with it. I'm a little bit more removed from that. So he'll take you through that. But please do be reassured, we understand this is a really big step for you as a parent, and it's a really big step for your child as well. There'll be lots of excitement, but there also will be some anxiety there. We are here with you. Ask any questions at all now, because it's a perfect opportunity for us to hopefully ease some of those anxieties. All right, thank you. Take care now. Bye.
Okie dokie. So what we've done here is put together. There we go. Oh, we're going back on some bits what we're going to cover that we're going to cover today. So we've done our bit of a welcome. We're going to have a look at the COVID-19 effect and talk about that in a little bit more detail, and also go over some general information bits and bobs. We'll have a look at what the curriculum looks like for us down here in the early years. Have a little talk to you about how we assess in something called Tapestry. We'll talk to you about how you can prepare your child for starting with us, because that's going to be absolutely crucial. It's normally a big transition anyway, starting in a new place. It's even bigger the fact that they've all been at home for such prolonged periods of time. So we started to put stuff together that you can do to support that at home. And we'll also have a quick chat about what next. And then at the end, we'll have an opportunity, if you do have any questions, then we'll try and address those then. So, before I do that, we are massively aware of how people might be feeling even more stressed or anxious about their children starting in September, given everything that's going on. We want you to know that it's absolutely fine. However you're feeling, that is okay. Some people are happy, can't wait for their kids to start. Their kids can't wait to start. Others are a bit more anxious, a little bit more worried. There's lots going on in the world. That's fine. That's perfectly normal, and that's okay for them to be feeling a bit anxious and for you to be feeling a bit anxious. The main aim of this meeting and the things that we're doing over the next few weeks and months is to help your child get settled into our nursery as quickly and as best they possibly can. The quicker they get settled, the quicker we can support them with their learning. So we want them to be settled as quickly as possible. And all children come in differently. One child will absolutely run into nursery, be happy as Larry. Another one will be attached to your hip, and we're having to do strategies around helping them come in. So we are perfectly adept at any situation. I would say, if you're feeling anxious, stressed, or worried about your child starting with us, then it's good to talk to your child about how you're feeling, because that's a perfectly natural feeling to be having. We want children to understand that. But I'd be just conscious about allaying those fears and those fears going on to your child. So not overdoing it too much. If you're stressed and worried about them starting, and they see constantly that you're stressed and worried about it, they will pick up on that and start to display similar things as well. It makes it a bit harder for them to come in and settle in. So whilst it's important to acknowledge the feelings that we're having, please do that with your children. You know, just be cautious about how often and how you're doing that. Okay, next slide. Oh, by the way, before I move on, I do absolutely love that picture at the top. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little girl that starts the day in her nursery, and then that's a girl at the end of her nursery day, which looks like she's been dragged through a hedge backwards. I absolutely love that. As I say, if you can't see the slides because you're on a small screen, please don't worry, this will be emailed out to you. Right, let's move on to the next one. So the COVID-19 effect, as Miss alluded to before, that has had dramatic effect on schools. We don't know yet the full details of how it's going to look in September, but I wanted to assure you that everything we've done so far is the child safety has been at the forefront and paramount, and that will continue whatever happens in September. Simple things like hand washing have become the centre of our curriculum, particularly here in the early years. It's actually part of our normal curriculum anyway, but it's now become the centre of it. That will happen again in September. And simple things about encouraging catch it, kill it, bin it, all that sort of thing, where possible, trying to keep children away from each other. But as Miss said, we are still waiting on the firm guidance for how that's going to look. And that then has had a knock-on effect on us being able to tell you exactly what's going to happen, because we do have a number of plans in place for different scenarios. Until we've got that firm idea of what's going to happen from the local authority and the government, then, you know, we can't put into place exactly what we want to do. When we know, we will pass that information on to you. Hopefully, with fingers crossed, it won't be too long until that. But I just want to reassure you that we have been and will be doing everything that we possibly can to keep children as safe as they possibly can. That is the forefront of what we've been doing recently. I'm going to hand over to Miss Woods, who's our nursery teacher, to talk to you in some more detail about some of these other bits in general information.
So first of all, with the uniform, so they'll come in and they'll wear on the wall behind us, they'll wear a light blue polo shirt, a jumper or cardigan, as you can see on there, and then grey trousers or a skirt, or maybe like a pinafore or a summer dress. And they'll have a bag and a water bottle we'd like them to bring in. Please label everything, because
there's my ICT skills again. Do you see that bouncing, by the way, guys? Notice how that animation bounced into the PowerPoint. Sorry.
They take it off because they're too hot and they throw it, and as much as we try to find it and match them up, it's really hard if it doesn't have a name in. So we normally suggest putting it around either the top or the bottom in the band in big pen.
Permanent marker.
Yeah, and then we can get it.
Or you can get those fancy labels that you iron in, sew in, or whatever. They're absolutely brilliant. They never come off.
Yeah. And then with lunchtime, so lunchtime, nursery will have a member of staff will take them outside first of all and have a bit of a play. Then they'll all go down to the main dinner hall. That's what we normally do, and they'll have their dinner. They can have a hot dinner. That's £2.30 if they would like to get a hot dinner from school, or they can bring their own lunchbox in. If you do bring a lunchbox in, we would like it to be nut-free, because we are a nut-free school, and as healthy as possible, please.
On to that.
And in school, we will offer on Wednesday and Friday a free meal if they would like it. So that is on Wednesday, a roast dinner, so the meat changes each week. And on Friday, it's usually fish and chips or pizza.
They do tend to like these days, the roast day, particularly Fridays, fish and chip Friday or pizza Friday, very popular.
Oh yes, we love that.
The reason why we do that is we're trying to encourage children to prepare themselves for reception. When they come to reception, we have a school expectation that children have the school lunches, and it's just a really nice way on the days that perhaps the meals are a little bit easier for them to eat, that they have those on those days ready for when they come, hopefully the following year, into our reception class.
Yeah, just a bit of a taste. We do find that if they've tried it in nursery, they'll try a bit more in reception. We do provide snack as well, so you don't need to give your child a snack to bring in. We have all that for you, so they'll have an option of different fruits. So we normally have like banana, apples, we love apples, pears, sometimes we have tomatoes, and once this year we had strawberries. That was a good day. And we also give them the option of milk as well.
Well, it's not an option. All children are entitled to milk. They can have milk.
Yeah.
So they all have milk. If they don't want milk, they can have the water, but then they can have their snack as well with that.
Yeah.
It was not on the slide, actually. We also do a form of breakfast. Again, you've probably seen, if you've got children here, or heard that we do like a morning breakfast. In terms of how that's going to work, it's going to have to be a wait and see until we know the more of the details of what the government are expecting us to do. So, you know, if we're back to very much like normal, then there may be a form of breakfast there that starts a bit earlier, or if we're not, then we may have to adjust things. But as I say, under normal circumstances, we do offer breakfast here.
Yeah. So the basic routine of nursery, they would come in. Throughout the year, we try and say, like, towards the end of the year, if you can come in, but they go and put all their things away themselves. We do encourage that from the beginning as much as possible for them to be independent. And they'll come and do a challenge activity on the carpet. It might be writing their name, it might be a fine motor activity. Sometimes we might put some Lego out and they can have a little play with that, just to ease them into the day, because some of them don't really, well, aren't morning people, and don't really want to go and do a big activity straight away, so we ease them in there. They will have their option of breakfast, and they will go and order their dinner. Then we'll do some kind of activity on the carpet, and they have the option to go outside all the time, all the way throughout the day. They can go outside. They love that. We've got mini mountain, water, sand, loads of lovely activities. Then we do start to do some phonics, split into some separate groups.
That tends to be later in the year, doesn't it? We don't, to begin with, we don't start with that. That comes a bit further down the track.
Yeah, we'll do listening activities at the beginning. And then we'll have another activity. We might go to the hall and do a little bit of some ring games. Then there'll be dinner, and then we'll do another activity in the afternoon all together.
It's normally a very, very full day. A very, very full day. Right.
Yeah, this is what to expect when they come in. So they may come.
Well, not necessarily to expect.
Well, not to expect, but
be aware.
Yeah. So when they come in, they may be covered in glitter because we go into Story World and they have their fairy dust, or they might get a bit of mud or grass stains on them, on their uniform, and we do try as best we can to prevent that happening. They have aprons, we have overalls when we go outside, wellies, all sorts. We encourage them to wash their hands and things like that, and be very independent and putting things away before they get covered in things. But it's a play-based curriculum, and they are going to get covered in things And most of the time when they've done that, they're going, "This is the best day. Had so much fun," and things like that.
I really like this slide because I think it demonstrates that, you know, children do come home mucky, particularly in the early years. But if they come home mucky, why have they got mucky? It's because they've been engaging in lots of the things we want them to engage in, lots of the play-based activities. We do endeavour, as Miss says, to cover them up as much as we humanly can. However, you know, they're 3 and 4 year old children, and they can make a mess in an empty room. So I think this is just a lovely illustration of some of the things that they might be coming home and covered in. There's reasons behind that. And me as a parent, if my child comes home really, my little girl's been in early years reception, and my little boy's in nursery. If he comes home clean and tidy, I'm always thinking, what have you been doing today? Personally, I love it them coming home in an absolute wreck because I know they've got stuck into all sorts. However, I do understand that not all parents are like me, and they are a little bit more cautious about how mucky they get. So when you get the PowerPoint, that's just a nice one to have a look at, nice slide to have a look at. Right. So the foundation stage, the early years foundation stage, that is the curriculum that your child will be following. If they've come from another nursery or preschool or childcare setting, they'll also have been following this. It goes from 0 to 5 years old. So when they go into reception the following year, they will be carrying on with the same curriculum. It is a play-based curriculum. The heart of the curriculum is all about the children having opportunities for high quality play with their friends on their own, doing lots of wide-ranging things. At Rivacre, we are, I think, really good at trying to make that curriculum as fun and engaging as we possibly can through the topics that we choose, through the ways we deliver the curriculum, such as something called a narrative immersion. So we dress up as characters and we set challenges and things like that. If you want to find a little bit more information out about that narrative immersion and how we do things, on the school website, there's a little video clip. And it shows some clips of the sorts of things we do. It's a nice little watch. Also a nice little watch for one of your little ones, if you want to show them the sorts of things that we do here at Rivacre as well. Sitting alongside that high quality play, which is essential to their development, we also then put in focused activities. The start of the year, it tends to be a lot more heavily play-based activities. And as the year goes on, we build in more focused activities to help them get prepared for reception. The focused activities tend to be targeting certain areas of the curriculum that are a little bit more difficult to target through play, perhaps such things as fine motor control for writing, early mark making, that type of thing. So they'll do the play-based activities, but they'll also have that quality time and one-to-one small group with one of the teachers or one of the support TAs in there as well. The curriculum itself is split into some main areas. The big one for nursery, particularly at the start of the year, are what we call the prime areas, and that's personal, social and emotional development. That's all about how they're feeling, their emotions, their behaviour, that sort of thing, how they interact with others, a core skill, not just for school, but for life. Communication and language, well, that underpins absolutely everything. And we do lots of activities to promote good language skills, good listening skills are included in that as well. And then also physical development, which is also a massive part of the early years. So that's big movements, where we're looking at getting them to use bikes, scooters, looking at their balance and coordination, smaller movements as well, more associated with scissors and writing. We call them fine motor movements, where they're looking at threading beads, doing cutting activities. Mark making is also part of that. Some children like the idea of colouring. Those sorts of things encourage fine motor movements. Again, these 3 prime areas are key, and they underpin not only future success, but also success in other academic areas, because you're not going to be able to write successfully if you don't have the physical control of your hand, your shoulder, your elbow, also your core as well, actually, for writing, to be able to make these marks and do all the things that you need to do with writing. So we focus really heavily on the prime areas to begin with, and then we do the specific areas alongside them, but to begin with, the prime areas are core, much more of a core focus. We do then do some literacy, mathematics. That comes in, so at that stage it's early mark making, encouraging children to see themselves as writers and be confident and see that the mark they put on the paper, whatever that is, that's writing to them, and that's what we encourage. Later in the year, we bring in phonics, so we start to teach them when the children are ready. I missed that bit right at the top, actually. this is all dependent on when children are ready. We understand that children are all unique and they all learn at their own rates. So if one child's doing one thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child's going to be doing the same thing at the same time. Children don't all learn at the same time. They learn in their own way and at their own time. So we try and focus that with phonics, so that some children will be doing a certain element of phonics and other children will be doing something else. The phonics effectively is how we teach them to read and write. When they go into reception, there's a lot more of phonics. We do much more of the formalised phonics, where they're looking at the letter formations, how to hear the letters, how to write the letters, that sort of thing. In nursery, it tends to be a lot to do with the sounds, so listening to sounds, environment, all the skills that underpin phonics, really, about listening skills, about unpicking sounds, and about discriminating between sounds, all really, really important things to do before they get onto the sort of the bulk of phonics a little bit later on. The other areas of the specific area are understanding the world. That's more traditionally, that's what we call the sciences, histories, humanities, that type of thing, and ICT fits in there as well. And then exploring media materials. I'm sure you'll be delighted of all the recycling boxes that will be coming your way when they come here, because we have loads. We encourage it actively for them to take their lovely work home. Hopefully they'll be able to do that in September or at some point in the year. Mr. Denham's, my recycling box is always empty at home, because and I'm sure Mrs. is as well, because we bring it into school, the kids absolutely love it, and they're making rockets, robots and all sorts of things. It's really great, again, really creative, and it fits under that exploring media and materials as well. The other element of the curriculum in the early years is something we call the characteristics of effective learning. These are actually statutory in the early years. And it's something we are also actually looking at across the whole school now as well. And these are learning traits that we want the children to have. These are fundamental, and actually, if you're really secure in the characteristics of effective learning, there's lots of evidence that suggests that even if you're maybe not so good in maths and literacy at that stage, or more of the academic subjects, you will succeed better in school later down the line, because you've got the attributes like resilience, independence, creativity. You can think critically, and all those sorts of things that fit underneath it. So we actually we monitor those. We plan for them to be improved. We have do quite a lot on displaying them, and we give children lots of opportunities to think about their own learning. You know, at a nursery level, it's getting them to think about what they're going to do before they're going to do it. So not to start with, but throughout the year, they'll be starting to have discussions around, well, what are you going to choose to do in your play? And then they can start to talk about that and start to talk about their learning as it's happening, and then to think about their learning a little bit more. The higher level thinking tends to come a little bit more in reception class. We build upon that again when they move up. The three areas, the characteristics of effective learning, are the playing and exploring, active learning, and creative and thinking critically. If you want any more information on these, I'll just Google it and it'll all pop up. But we really value them, and we really heavily promote them. You know, last year you did dinosaurs, didn't you? Little character dinosaurs. So like the Triosaurus Rex. And who else did you have, Miss?
We had a Triceratops, because they used to go, I'm being a Triceratops.
Oh, was it Triceratops? Yeah.
And a Pretendosaurus.
Pretendosaurus, that's all about playing. So it's wrapped up in a fun and engaging way. So assessment and tapestry. So the way we assess in the early years is observational based. So we stand and watch to see what the children can do. We tend to do that mostly when they're working independently, so we get a true picture of how they're getting on, and then those observations then feed into what we need to be doing next with the children. We call them next steps, because effectively that's what we're here to do, is to help those children with those next steps and help them to learn and progress. The way we do that, or the system that we use to record that, is something called Tapestry. Tapestry is an online learning journal. If you've already been to a nursery setting before, I'm sure some people have physical hard copy books. Some people use other online systems. We use Tapestry here. We really like it. It's great because it's a really good way for us to record children's progress, so we can demonstrate it to you and you can see it yourself. You can log on to Tapestry at any time, so you can see the sorts of things that they've been doing. Not only do we put children's moment of progress on there, but we also put things on there that the children might have done that day. So someone might have been in to visit, or they've done some lovely work with someone else that we know they can do, but it's nice for you to see, because more often than not, when you ask a child what they've done that day, yeah, I don't know, played a bit, not done very much today really. Children do absolutely loads when they're in school, more than they realise and more than they ever really want to talk about. So it's a great thing for you to have a look at and see what we're getting up to in school with them. And as I say, it's great because you get to log on at any point and see that at any point in time. You don't have to ask to look at a book or anything like that. The other thing why we really like it, and something we really encourage, is for parents at home to be engaging with it and uploading stuff as well. If you see something at home that you think, crikey, I didn't know that my son knows the 12 times table, probably a bit extreme, I'm going to record that down and I'm going to tell my teachers, or I'm going to tell his teachers that that's what he's been doing at home. We call them wow moments. So if you have a moment where you think, oh, didn't know you could do that, you've just held a pencil beautifully, you've just done some beautiful mark making, you've never wanted to do mark making at home before, well, you've just done it now. You can take a picture or a video and you can share it with us on Tapestry. The reason why that's so good is if they're doing these things at home, we know that they're secure at whatever they're doing. We can then really look at planning what's next, and it helps build that picture of the child up. Your children's primary caregivers, you know the children far better than we do. So, you know, using your knowledge to help us plan children's next step is really, really useful. And it's also really nice, Tapestry, as well. If you've done something, you know, like you've climbed Mount Everest one weekend with them, and you've got to the top and you've got a photo on the top of Mount Everest with your child on your back, you look like you're dying because it was a hard climb up there. But you made it. You can take a photograph and they can share that with their friends. You can come in and we have time when we put the pictures or the videos on the board, and they can share that. And it's just a lovely opportunity for them to share what they've been doing outside of school as well. So that really is a whistle-stop tour of our curriculum and our assessments. I've gone through it really fast because you know, it's not the most exciting bits of information you're ever going to get. If you do have any questions, concerns, or anything about the curriculum or what we're doing, then, you know, please do ask. Please do use the question feature on here, or ask at a later date. I'm going to hand over now to Miss Woods, who's going to talk to you about some of the things you can do with your child to help them with that all-important transition and getting them settled in. Miss Woods.
So you will have been sent these at home. So you've got the nursery readiness checklist. You've got a book all about school featuring you, isn't it, Mr. Denham? Aren't you in there?
Yes, I'm in that book. I'm a few stone lighter in that book, so don't judge me.
You should have a picture of all of us, which is brilliant actually. Reading the book and looking at the pictures of us really helps to get their head around when they start nursery, and then they come in and they go, I've got a picture of you in my fridge. I've heard that so many times this year, and they love it. They love saying that. And I've also got a superhero that you should have. So we're going to try and make a display of this in nursery so that it sort of brings together home and school. So they will have done this at home with your support, hopefully, coloured it in beautifully, and then we will put it up on the wall for them to see. So yeah, and then
so I think with these, the big thing is just having that time with your child to talk about what's coming next. So you can use the pictures. Well, these are the people that you're going to see in your new environment. The little booklet with the story in of a school day is lovely because it might not be exactly like that school day, but it's a picture of the classrooms, illustrations of the classrooms, of children typical of their age, doing things that they're going to be doing. I mean, my suggestion would be is reading that, you know, not just once, but a couple of times, building up to it, because it might lead into questions and discussions that you can have with your child about starting. As we said at the beginning, this is a massive transition, bigger than anything that they'll have had before, because not only they're moving schools, they're moving schools at a time of unprecedented change. So having those key conversations with children will help them get their heads around about what they're going to be coming and doing. And then doing the little activities with the superhero just gives us that bit of information, and they can come in and show their friends what they've been doing. We've also put a link there to a website called Hungry Little Minds. It's a lovely website by the government. They've got videos and things of activities you can be doing at home, not just to support with transition, just to support children in general. There's a great video on there of a dad messing about with their son, playing with them, and they're just going into like their own little world of Iron Man, or they've got masks on it, and it's absolutely lovely. It sort of illustrates what the early years is all about and the sort of things that are so simple to do at home, that anyone really can do. It's just about having that time, quality time with your child. There is also there that tick list, the nursery reception, sorry, the nursery readiness, I couldn't read the title then. The nursery readiness tick list is just some things that we'd, you know, ideally like children to be able to do. The big one is independence, for them to be as independent as they can be. They're coming to school, they're coming away from you guys. Can they put their coats up themselves? What can they do themselves? The other one is about toileting. Now, we always encourage as much as possible for children to be out of nappies before they come. We totally understand this is not always the case, you know, and we are perfectly able to deal with the situation, any nappies or any changes that need to happen. It's not a problem. We just try and encourage that to happen before they come to nursery. It just makes life easier for them and for us as well. If they do come, then as I say, with nappies, it's not a problem at all. We'll then just work with you, as we've done on many occasions, about how we can support them coming out of nappies or out of needing changing. You know, we are fully equipped in the setup for accidents. Accidents happen all the time. It's part of working with young children. We've got facilities and trained staff to be able to deal with that. So please don't worry about it, but you can be proactive as you possibly can about looking to see how you can get them out of nappies, or what other toileting things do we need to be looking at home. Are they able to go to the toilet themselves, wash their hands and all that sort of thing. It helps them when they're here, and it will help us as well.
It's also worth, even if they are out of nappies, having like a little bag with a few spare bits in, just in case, because sometimes they're so engrossed in an activity they forget, and they'll say, "Oh, I've had an accident. I didn't realise I was playing," and they're just so excited about what's happened that they forget they need the toilet. And then that's not a problem. We can change them, but if they just have something with them, that makes it a bit easier, doesn't it?
When children have accidents as well, as I say, we are fully equipped to deal and help them. We do it in as discreet way as possible. We don't make a big song or dance about it. Where we get the children changed is away from other children. You know, I mean, at that age, children are pretty good anyway, but it's just to give them that little bit of privacy, let them sort themselves out, or we sort them out if that's needed, and then they join back in like nothing's really happened. But yeah, that's what we normally do. Encourage parents to bring in a bag with some change clothes and that can live on their peg or live wherever they need to be. Right. So what next? So the office hopefully has been in contact. Mrs. Russell has contacted you about organising the web chat with your teacher. I would really, really encourage you to do this because it's a great opportunity for you to have that two-way dialogue about your little one. The more information we know about your little one, the easier it is, for us to be able to plan things to settle them in as quickly as possible. We want to build that relationship with you. We always have here sort of an open door policy. If you have any problems, come and speak to us. And sort of the start of that is this web chat where we can have that discussion. We'll have some questions that we'll ask about things they like, things they don't like, things that we need to know that you think we need to know. Also, we'd encourage the child to at least start the meeting with us so we can say a quick hello. We can introduce you to our monkeys. There's one of them there. We use them as like a transition tool to support the children. Children tend to really link in and click into puppets and soft toys, so we use them as well to help children come into class. So if you haven't had that call yet, hopefully Mrs. Russell will be doing it in the very well, hopefully today actually, because it'll be next week these meetings. If you haven't had that call and by today, please do give us a ring and Mrs. Russell will organise that for you. As Mrs. Doherty mentioned, hopefully we'll be having like a little class meeting together where the children could meet other children from their class. We fully anticipate children to sort of go really, really shy probably, that's what's happened previously, and not say anything at all. So don't worry about that, or there'll be absolute carnage and we'll have 15 children running back and forth on screens. No problem. At the very least, they've seen our faces. We'll try and read a story and do bits and bobs like that as well. And as Miss said, just keep an eye out for keep an eye out for the virtual tours. When we firmly know where children will be, we'll also do some tours of those classrooms when they're set up. That might be more towards the end of summer holidays or in September, but keep your eyes out for that. And then also, website's another great one as well for checking out information. I don't think we had any questions. I will just check. Excuse me for 1 second. No questions, which is absolutely fine. If you do have anything that pops up, please do feel free to give us a call, drop Miss an email. Let me put the details up for you now. That's the details there. Oh, I'm going to have to go through the whole thing. There you get to see some of my ICT wizardry again. Ready? There it is, bouncing in. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant that. As I say, my ICT teacher would be amazed. There. So the details there, the school website, and also the Twitter account as well that we do put bits and bobs on as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a whistle stop tour. As I say, if you want any more information or want to know any more, please do contact us, and hopefully we'll see you, or your teacher or one of the team will see you for our class or our one-to-one chats with your family. Oh, someone's raised their hand. Don't know what that means if someone's raised their hand. Hang on 1 second.
That's at the top of this.
Where?
Oh, there. So you need to unmute.
Hang on, I'll just. Oh, hang on. We've got someone on chat. How many in a class? As of yet, I can't answer that question because it all depends on what the government stipulate bubbles to be or classes to be in the future. At the moment, we're running with bubbles of 10 going up to, well, the key worker bubble is 15. If we're back to full class, then it'll be all the children will be split over two nursery classes. So there's 38 children now, so that'll be across 2 teachers. So there are 2. Mr. Davis will be, if we go to that system, Mr. Davis will be 1 teacher, and Miss Woods will be the other nursery teacher, plus then a couple of TAs as well. So, you know, the numbers in terms of ratios will be really good and really positive, but we can't answer that definitively yet until we know exactly what the government are expecting us to do and how they're expecting us to do it. Great question. Thank you very much for that. Anyone else? No, no problem. No, I think we're all good. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And as I say, anything that we can help you with, please do let us know. Look forward to seeing you and your children, hopefully, in September. Oh, actually, one thing I did forget to mention that's probably worth a mention, so you've got a bit of a heads up about it. It will be a staggered start. Whatever happens, it will be staggered. So if you've put your child in and they've got 30 hours funding, that's reminded me about something else. We will be staggering it. I can't tell you the details of that staggering yet, because again, that's dependent on what the government dictate to us how we've got to run. But children will not be in full time for the first period of time. That might be a week or 2 until we get into the flow of things. And the reason for that is it's for children's sort of well-being, really, and support them with the transition. You know, they've never ever been to this school, some of them, or only been on visits, and you know, we can't expect them just to be dropped in and then left full time. So we'll do that in a staggered sort of way. And I do. Oh yeah, the other thing was, now I've remembered, is Mrs. Cole in the office has asked me to just check that everyone has handed in their forms, particularly the 30-hour or 15, the funding form for the 30 hours. If you've not done that, please do get it sent back to us. And I do. Oh, got another question. Sorry, just reading that. So if you are split between 2, if you're split between 2 settings, which some people might be, then we will speak to the other setting as well to see how it's going to run, and also what sort of things they're going to be doing to try and as much as possible to work together with that. What we'll do is if you've got the is it Stephen, if you've got a meeting organised with the class teacher, they can discuss that in a little bit more detail. And they can go through the details of how that might work with another setting. We've had children that are in 2 settings. We had one last year that he was in 2 settings, and that's absolutely fine, no problem at all. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for attending. You will get the PowerPoint emailed out to you, so you can have a little peruse through it. You can ogle over my fantastic ICT skills and all the wizardry that went behind it. See you soon. Stacey, I can see a little somebody there waving. Bye, lovely. Thank you very much for attending. Cheers. Bye. Bye, Jades and the little boy there. Bye, matey. Nice to see you. See you later, Harley's mum.
That's Charlie.
That's Charlie. Thanks for coming, Stephen. Cheers.